Here in New England, we're used to roads that have been built on top of cart paths. And those cart paths were built on top of Indian trails. And those Indian trails were dug out of game trails. And as Robert McCluskey says, they tend to go this way and that way. They wind around hills and bogs. They circle back towards the bridge over the river. Or they take a hard left because the center of town used to be there until the railroad came through in 1862. Or when 128 came in 1927. And we also love our rotaries with 6 ways in and 6 ways out. And we say, yield to traffic? Yeah, right. Just don't let them see my eyes. Or take downtown Dover, for example. There are probably 20 roads and driveways and cut-throughs, all entering and exiting within a couple hundred yards, with one traffic light to rule them all. Our winding roads are a great metaphor for the path of life, which, when we're young, we think is supposed to be like a county road in Michigan, which runs ruler straight, due north, south, east, or west for 100 miles. You don't even need to touch the brakes or the steering wheel. Just put it on cruise control and let it go, and you'll get there. But as we age and we look back, we see that life was more like driving in downtown Boston, where it's all one-way streets and dead ends. There's no parking, and there are detours for construction, and they call it rush hour traffic, but that's not true, because no one's rushing anywhere. Potholes that will swallow your front of your car. Jaywalking pedestrians at the corner of Congress and State who will not let you go left. And they tell you, head downtown to pick up the road out of town. And we have these tunnels now all over the place, so you just pop up all over. That's life, right? It's messy, unexpected, challenging. But all of us come to a place in our life when we've had enough. When we think to ourselves, the time's up. I don't want to sit in gridlock in my life anymore. I want to stand in the presence of God, like Zechariah and Elizabeth with the angel Gabriel. I want the time of going in circles or nowhere to be over, and I would like it to become a time of holiness and deliverance and salvation. I would like those promises to be fulfilled in my life, completed. In short, a time for straight paths. Now, by faith, we believe that God is already moving lovingly and powerfully in our lives towards the fulfillment of God's promises of love and peace and life and joy and faith. But the truth is, we'd like to see it rather than just believe it. We'd like to see where to go and how to go about it, to proceed directly. And I think that you wouldn't be here in a church on a rainy Sunday in December if there wasn't some place, at least somewhere in your life, where you thought, I'd like to live the good news of God's love. Which is why we look to John the Baptist on this first Sunday of Advent, because his purpose was made clear before he was even born. He came to prepare the way of the Lord and make his paths straight. But he went around preaching that message, in other words, to us, that we go and do likewise. So my word to you this morning is, God is moving in our lives and in our world, but there's an irony. And the irony is this: the only thing standing between God and God's presence in each of us is often each of us. It's not God. We continue going in circles, heading the wrong way, crashing into a ditch, getting stuck in traffic, or just running out of gas, or not caring. Now, only you and God knows what's standing between you in the presence of God, between you and the fulfillment of God's promises of life and joy and peace and faith. So only you can tell me or tell yourself what you need to do to make God's path straight in your heart, to prepare God's way into your life. But I have some suggestions to get you thinking. Maybe it's your lifestyle. I know myself, it's been a long fall, and it's only going to get longer now in December. And there are days when I wake up and I feel like my life has been spreading too little butter on too much toast. And there's no savor left. Or maybe it's your relationships. Maybe that space between you and the people in your life is empty, not filled with an energy of love or creativity or newness. Or maybe you're worn down by the news. You look out into the world and it seems to be so far from God's purposes and promises. Maybe you're tired and you feel like this is impossible, sort of like Zachariah and Elizabeth. We're old. This is past us. We can't go back and have children now. Or maybe you just don't know where to begin or how to go about it. Well, my friends, one of the things I'm here to do is to help you if that is your question. I don't know where to begin. But I always think every first Advent, isn't that funny and crazy, really? That just when all of us are cranking up our lives even further, getting our Christmas cards in the mail, buying Christmas presents, going to parties, having a million things to do at the church, that now of all times of the year, we are invited to reflect on the state of our relationship with God. Think about that. Think if the only thing standing between you and the presence of God is you. And spend the weeks up to Christmas wondering, how can I prepare the way? Amen.